Okay, so C-spine. First thing we need to talk about is patient prep. Clothing-wise, we shouldn't have too many issues, really. It would be a problem if somebody had a hoodie on like you have. It would be a problem with that big old scarf like you have, or jacket, you know, something that's obviously heavy. But regular clothing shouldn't be a problem unless they have like a turtleneck. Then they would need to change into a gown. The thing you have to watch with women is about the bra straps, because today it's not a problem, but yesterday the adjusters on my bra strap were right here on my shoulder, which means that's going to be a problem shooting a lateral and that sort of thing. So the easiest thing to do anytime you have a female patient, if they're not wearing a sports bra, then just ask them to pull their bra straps off their shoulders. That's all they've got to do. And I mean, anybody probably willing to do that for you to not change the clothes. Mm-hmm. So clothing-wise, you know, there's not too much. You do have to watch for those people who wear those country western shirts that have like the snaps instead of the buttons. Mm-hmm. Those are a problem if they have those on. The bigger things we're going to be interested in are necklaces and chains, earrings, glasses, removable plates in the mouth, and any other piercings of the face. Okay, and obviously if they had a hat on, like y'all have a hat on, the hat would need to come off. Shouldn't have to worry too much about something in the hair unless they had a ponytail that hung right at the neck. So if right here was where their, you know, whatever holding their ponytail was, then that probably needs to come out, or they need to pull it up on their head.
At clinic the other day, we were doing a open mouth, odontology or whatever, and we asked this lady if she had any metal anywhere on her head. Told us no. She was a black lady.
She had on a wig and 4,000 bobby pins.
She had a weave, and when she opened mouth, all the bobby pins were in her mouth. It was hilarious. And Sheila went up to her and she was like, "You gonna have to take your weave out?"
Oh, but she didn't want to do that.
And she was like, "Oh man." We were like,
yeah, and sometimes you don't really know that until, you know.
You probably don't think about it either.
Well, I'm not sure she didn't think about that. And people don't if they're wearing a wig, sometimes stuff in the way the wigs are attached and stuff. So.
Me and T just laughed. It was kind of funny.
Not like in front of her though.
No, we were in the room. I promise. Not in front of her.
Okay. So that's what we do patient prep wise. All right. We're going to use the 10 by 12 lengthwise for all our images. We're going to start with the lateral. I'm at 72 inches and locked in transversely. Why do we want to do the lateral at 72?
Rule out fractures, dislocation. Oh wait, OID.
Why would we do it first? But yes, because of the OID.
Yeah,
because of the OID, because we can't remove the shoulder. So we're going to be at 72 to reduce the magnification because of this increased distance here. Okay. So have my patient step up. She's already got the apron on to the side here. And so I'm going to ask her to put her left shoulder up against the board. I'm going to collimate the full 12 inches of length. And then I did her several times yesterday, so I know I need about 7 inches of width. Start at about 7, then check on your patient. You might need a little more. You might be able to get by with a little bit less. So just see, you know, how that goes. Am I good and perpendicular here since I can't stand right next to it? Be sure you are perpendicular. Don't just read the 0 here. Make sure this is flat and there's not any angle on there. Okay, so I'm perpendicular. And like I said, full 12 inches in length, and the I have about 7 inches wide. Now, I know for testing purposes, you're going to talk about C4-5 as the level you want to center to. Easiest thing to do though, when you get ready to actually shoot these, is if you will take the full 12 inches, just 12, you don't need more than that. Full 12 inches, if you put the top of your light field at the top of the ear, you'll get C1-2 and you'll be down to T1-2.
Top of light field above ear?
Above the ear. Like here's the top of her ear, and so I'm just right to the top of her ear.
Okay.
All right. I'll let you step forward, please. I want to be centered about mid-coronal plane. Kind of look at the EAM, but probably better just to come mid-coronal plane. All right. Arms down by the side. Let's just step forward just a tiny bit more. I want to be able to see light in the front and light in the back. Okay. I'm not showing a lot in the back right now because of her dress. Okay, so there's fabric here. I'm good on actually getting her neck if that's mostly fabric. Now, she does have some curve to her neck, so if I want to make sure that I can collimate as much as possible, I can turn my tube head. Let me go ahead and line this up first. But I can meet the curve of her neck a little bit. And then that allows me to keep tighter collimation. If the person has a lot of curve, in order to keep your collimation tighter, then you want to turn that. If you leave it straight and they have a big curve, you'll have to open up wider. Okay? Then marker placement, I can place it, always to the anterior surface on the lateral. When I mark to the anterior surface, I've got room down here. I can be all up in her face though, and it's okay, because the face is not significant for this. So I'll be all up in your face now. So, and a lot of times I like to do that only because if they should move a little bit, I'm less likely to get it into their neck. If I go here and then she leans forward a little bit, I could end up with my marker in her neck. So I can put it up there in her face and it's okay. You are? I thought you were looking at it oddly.
I'm just taking it over.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask her to look straight ahead. Make sure the head is straight. The chin is slightly elevated, just that little bit of, I'm better than you. Not so much that the back of the head is into the neck, but just that slight raise of the chin. All right, and your patient looks straight ahead. And you want to shoot this on expiration. That allows the shoulders to relax so that you can make sure you get C7T1. So I'm going to ask my patient to take in a breath and to blow it out. And when she blows it out, I'm going to ask her to relax her shoulders down and reach for her toes. Okay, so you want to make sure that as they breathe out, they relax the shoulders down. Should you have a patient who is very broad through the shoulders and kind of has this short neck and big traps or something, then you might want to think about using some weights. If you are going to use weights, though, you need to ask them to make sure they don't have any shoulder injury. As long as there's no shoulder injury, it's okay to give weights to pull the shoulders down. But if they do, you can't do that. And that will be our lateral. Be careful and make sure their head stays straight, because I'll just tell you that from experience, there'll be people who their head like cocks over to the side. And you'll straighten it up, and then you'll turn and be caught. So you really got to watch that, because people's heads will just fall to the side. So make sure their head stays up straight. Okay. All right. From this, we're going to do the obliques. Now the obliques can be done AP or PA. I prefer to do everything AP so I can see my patient's face. That way that they can hear me better, I can see them better, and you don't position them, and then they turn around and ask you something. You got to start all over again. So I'm going to ask, take her from this lateral position, shift the apron, okay, and I'm going to do my LPO, all right. The LPO is going to be a 45-degree rotation of the entire body. So I'm going to turn her out from the board, just like we did for the ribs last semester. You can get the toes to point towards the corner. We can do all those things like that. I do need to put an angle on the tube because I'm doing LPO and RPO, the AP obliques. I'm going to put a cephalic angle on. So I'm going to go 15 degrees cephalic.
15?
Yes. Okay. You can use 15 to 20. 15 is usually sufficient. And I'm going to come back and do the same thing I did before and just put the top of my light field at the top of her ear. Okay. I'm going to ask you to step away from me a little bit. I'm going to make sure I realign my board. Notice I can see light in the front and the back. This is still her left side, so I can leave my left marker where it is. Just make sure it stays in your light field. I'm going to ask her to turn her head back towards her shoulder. So on 45 degrees of rotation of the body, and then the head goes back towards the shoulder so it's looking at the wall. Again, like you do for the lateral. So the head kind of turns in a lateral position. Again, chin slightly raised. Anytime we raise the chin, we're keeping the mandible off of the cervical spine. That's why we raise that chin just a little bit. Now this is my LPO, and so what am I demonstrating with my LPO?
Right.
Right.
Intervertebral
foramina. Yes. What did the lateral show?
Zygapophyseal.
Zygapophyseal. Okay. Everybody good with that? Now, I would suggest, I'll always keep the shoulder in contact to keep people from wobbling. And I would give some breathing instruction. It's not that it's necessary for them to hold their breath, but it does help people to not move. So I would suggest having them hold their breath. You can do an exhalation again just to be consistent. You can just say hold your breath. And like I said, it's not really wrong not to give a breathing instruction, but I think it helps your patient hold still. All right, so for my LPO, I'm going to do my RPO. I'm going to just have my patient reverse her position and turn back this way. I'm going to make sure my apron keeps her covered. All right, again, I'm going to look for 45 degrees of rotation here. She stuck with me just a tiny bit. I'm going to leave my left marker here because this is still her left side, and I heard that y'all don't have to mark the downside anymore. Always on the obliques at Stringfellow. It's okay not to do that, as long as you mark the correct side. And I prefer to use the left marker for all these. That way I don't have to worry about swapping them out and losing one or
It
forgetting.
confused me when they said that, but I thought, okay.
Just mark the correct side of the body. This is still her left side. This is the RPO position, but it's still the left side. And now we're going to show the left intervertebral foramina. Okay. Again, have her turn the head back towards the shoulder so they're looking straight towards the wall. And slight raise of the chin. And then I could ask her to hold her breath or whatever to be still.
Should you do it on inspiration or?
It really doesn't matter. Like I said, it's strictly to help them hold still. Like
Okay.
I said, it's not something, the only one you really have to give a breathing instruction on is the lateral, so the shoulders get depressed. And like I said, and so expiration could be good on all of these because it would just depress the shoulders again.
I wouldn't do inspiration on the obliques.
Yeah, I would go expiration on all of them probably just because it'll keep the shoulders down.
That's easier to remember.
Be consistent with all of them. And it doesn't confuse your patient. Patients get confused by that too. All right, y'all good with that? Okay, I'm going to ask her to turn and put her back up against the board. All right, that's probably not too bad. For the AP now, my spine is going to be much closer to the board than it was for the lateral and the obliques. So I'm going to come into 40 inches. Because if I'm at 72, I have to use more mass than I do at 40. And if I use more mass, then what happens to my patient's exposure?
Increases.
It increases, doesn't it? We talked a lot about that today, didn't we? And so I'm going to come in, I'm going to leave my angle, because I still need an angle for the AP. I'm going to come into 40 inches. Now I need to recollimate, because now I'm at 40 inches. So I'm going to keep that full 12 inches of length, and go to that 7 inches wide again. Oh, there. And again, I'm just going to make sure that I come to the top of the ear. I should be centered mid-sagittal plane. Have my patient slightly raise the chin. And then again, I could have her just, taking a breath and blow it out and hold it out. Do some type of suspended respiration. This one is not going to get C1-2, but you should have from 3 down to about T3 probably. C3 to T3. It's about roughly what you'll probably end up getting.
So both obliques, you rotate it 15 degrees about.
Angle.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And the same for the AP.
Mm-hmm. All you're doing is coming in at 40 and leaving the 2 by itself, although you will have to recollimate.
Okay.
Okay. So from the AP, the last thing we're going to do is the open mouth. So for the open mouth, I'm going to come back to perpendicular. I'm going to collimate down to a 5 by 5 inch field. That gives you plenty of room and plenty of room for your marker. I'm going to line this up. You can place your marker anywhere along this edge that you want to. After you shoot a few, you'll find how your centering works, if you're a little high, a little low, or just perfectly centered, and decide where you want to put your marker. Like you might even want to go diagonally. I'm just going to put mine straight right there. That should be fine. But you'll find what works best for you. Just be sure you're marking the left side of the body. Okay. Now, to do the open mouth, we want to be sure that we align the mastoid tip and the occlusal surface of the upper teeth. Now, remember that if you go behind your ear and feel that bony ridge and come around, it curves around the back of your ear to the bottom, that's the mastoid tip at the very bottom. That is in the same plane as your base of your skull. So you want mastoid tip and the occlusal surface of your upper teeth. Occlude means to close, like if you close your teeth, where your teeth touch each other is the occlusal surface. So the bottom part of your upper teeth. So you're going to adjust the head to that point. Now, what I'm going to suggest you do before you really get started is, I'm going to straighten your head out just a little bit, is go ahead and center to about bottom part of the lip or close to the mouth. Lean forward a little bit. That's going to put you in the ballpark of where you want to be, so that you don't have to make a big adjustment. And you've got 5 inches, so you don't have to be. If you're off a little bit from the exact center of the mouth, that's going to be okay. You don't want to spend a lot of time with their mouth open trying to adjust this perfectly, okay? So if you go to that mouth part, if they're holding their head straight, you don't want it flopped way back or way down. If they're holding their head basically straight, go to the lower lip or to the part in the lips and center to that, and then adjust their head. Now, I can come here. You're going to have to look from the side and from the front to make sure that you're centered properly, okay? I'm going to find that mastoid tip and have her bring her chin down just a little bit. And now I want to line up where I see that her occlusal surface of her teeth is going to be. And I can do one of 2 things. I can say, this is the easier thing if you've adjusted the head now, is just to have her drop her lower jaw and say, ah. And then I just look to see. Okay, and you can relax. Okay. Now, if the person can't open their mouth very wide, and you say open your mouth as wide as you can, just realize that when people do that, they have a tendency to throw their head back. So that just means you're going to have to adjust their head back down probably if they do that. Okay? Why do we do the ah?
Get the soft tissue out of the way.
Yeah, get that tongue down out of the way, that soft tissue tongue out of the way, so that we can see the spaces in the odontoid tip. When you check off on this one, we'll probably stay in the room. We won't be like right up on you, but stay relatively close. So as soon as you have it ready and the person's going, oh, we can look real quick so they can relax. It's a very awkward thing to do. You can see your reflection in here. It's kind of weird and stuff. So we want to come in and check that off as soon as we can. So,
I had a question.
What do we call that tool on that one? 5 dollars.
5 by 5. Okay. 5 by 5. And just be aware, you don't want it light in their eyes and that kind of thing. The person should have a really short face, I guess. Collimate a little bit. But if you center to the mouth, you should be okay with a 5 by 5 without having light in their eyes.
Expiration on that one too.
Well, this is ah, you can't breathe.
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
You just don't breathe.
Oh, you can't breathe. Go ah and try to breathe. You can't breathe. So breathing is going to be taken care of on that one. So, all right, so we're going to do the lateral and the obliques at 72. You may see people at clinic do their obliques at 40. If somebody says something to you about doing the obliques at 40, that's what you need to do. Don't argue with anybody, do them at 40 if that's what they want you to do at clinic. Every question you will ever be asked here, the answer will be 72-inch obliques. That will always be the answer, because last time I checked, I couldn't remove that shoulder. The shoulder is still in the way on my obliques. Okay. So we're going to do those. Now, next week, you'll check off on all these, and then we will have anatomy. We won't shoot a film. We really don't have a good way to shoot a C-spine. But we'll have films to look at and, being able to identify the positions and the anatomy and all that. So be prepared for that.